that over the past few years, we've been meeting time and time again to discuss the safety issues that are taking place in and around Elijah Stroud Park. So tonight's town hall is all about us listening and working together. It's an opportunity for us to hear from the stakeholders who play a critical role in ensuring our well-being and safety here in District 17. Our partners from the New York City Police Department are here. Our Borough Safety Director, Craig Edwards, is with us. I believe we have representatives from the Parks Department, the Community Board, and other key leaders from our community. We are anticipating updates, clarity on steps that are being taken, and to outline the ongoing actions that will be taken to protect our students, families, and staff. I want you to know, as superintendent, I hear you and I see you, and I'm 100% on board to support however you need me to with this situation. I want to again extend my gratitude to Principal Weeks. I also see several District 17 principals that are here. I see Principal Delorney, Principal Pitts and Grillo. Sorry, let me look and see who else is here. I see Delorney, Pitts and Grillo. If I have not shouted out anyone else, please accept my apologies. I see the APs from District 17's 316, Mr. Coyne and Ms. Burns. CEC President Erica Kendall, thank you so much for joining and supporting us with this moment in time. And our United Federation of Teachers, District Representative Rick King is here. And I thank you. And I hope that everyone knows and you see that we are all collectively committed to supporting all of you. That's why we are all here. I don't want to belabor anything, but I'm just going to say the number one thing that I want out of this, I know that we had a very similar situation nearby last year with Clara Barton, Prospect Heights, and in that area, and there was ongoing surveillance, which is still there. And so I'm hoping that one of the things that we can get for the park and the surrounding area is ongoing surveillance, because I noticed once the surveillance went up in that area, the shooting stopped, the violence in that area stopped. So I'm not sure who I need to speak to about getting that lifted, but I'm hoping that after this meeting, I'm sure Borough Safety Director Craig Edwards is somewhere in this Zoom, and he can help us with getting that lifted, because that made a true difference in our neighboring school that had a very similar issue last year. So with that, again, I thank you all for being here, and I'm going to pass the mic. Before we give it back to Ms. Weeks, I do want to give our CEC President, Erica Kendall. I'm sorry, Erica, I cold called you. I do want to give our parent leader an opportunity to address us, and our UFT representative, Rick King, an opportunity to address us. And then I will pass it back to you, Ms. Weeks. Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. Caught me while I was trying to order groceries. Good evening. My name is Erica Kendall, and I am the president of the Community Education Council for District 17. And I am happy to join you in this space. Thank you, Principal Weeks, for curating this space for us. My job in this particular conversation is really to listen to the concerns of parents, and then to work with the Department of Education and our community partners to ensure that we have ongoing persistent support in ensuring that our children are not only just safe at school and safe on the way home, but safe in their communities as well. And so whatever feedback you feel I should also have after this conversation is done, I'm going to make sure that my email address is in the chat so that you can reach out directly to the Community Education Council, and we will do our best to follow through to ensure that our community partners all work together to deliver the safety that you all are looking for. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Rick King, UFT District Rep. Safety is an issue that everyone has to be involved in. We have to come together to find a resolution to make sure that our students, staff, and the community is safe. And I'm just bringing my expertise in terms of what we can do from the UFT's perspective to support everyone. And I will continue to support District 17 and PS 316 for students, staff, and parents. That's it.
Thank you, Rick. I know I said I was going to pass the mic back to Principal Weeks, but Principal Delauny, Principal Pitts and Grillo, if you'd like to say a few words, please do so. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Superintendent Lindsay, Principal Weeks, and the entire community and its leadership for assembling this town hall. The PS 705 community is greatly concerned about the safety and well-being of our entire community. And we support PS 316 in this gathering to ensure the safety and well-being of all youth and our families. So thank you so much for assembling this. And I know that we have many representatives from PS 705 that are joining us here this evening. Principal Delauny.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Superintendent Lindsay, Principal Weeks, and the rest of our community who's joining us today for the Safety Town Hall. The safety of our children, our babies, our future is our highest priority. Every one of us here tonight plays a crucial role in creating a school and community where students feel protected, supported, and empowered to learn and grow. Safety is not the responsibility of one person or a team. It is a shared commitment. When we come together, listen to one another, and work collaboratively, we create real and lasting solutions. So thank you for showing up, for caring, and for being part of the solution tonight as we continue building a safer, stronger community for all of our children. I'd like to pass it back to Superintendent or Principal Weeks.
Back to Ms. Weeks. Thank you, Principal Delauny and Principal P.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Superintendent Lindsay, all of the principals, Principal Pitts and Grillo, Principal Delauny. I know that we also have Principal Campbell. She may be on the line. All of the principals who are in the neighboring schools, close to PS 316. We all share the same concerns. So as was shared, the safety and well-being of our students are our top priority. And we want to ensure that they can go outside every day during recess or to do an activity and feel safe, feel comfortable to go outside and to have fun. And they shouldn't have at the back of their minds, what may happen if I have to have a shelter in and run into the building, or what may happen if, emergencies take place. What are the next steps? And families share those concerns too, right? So this evening, we're here to have those critical conversations about what we can do for our school community, for our students, for our staff, so everybody feels safe. And when they come to school, they leave the same way. Right. So having these conversations and this conversation, once again, I remember we had the town hall in April, and hopefully we can come to a place where we have clear solutions in place before we leave today's meeting. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank everyone in attendance, our families, our dedicated staff, Superintendent Lindsay, representatives from Councilmember Crystal Hudson's office, representative from the CEC, our partners from the NYPD and Parks Department, our school safety, our families, our parents, everyone in this community who are invested in our youth, invested in our students. Thank you so much for coming this evening and collaborating with us to work towards a safer Stroud playground, a safer community, safer spaces for our children to enjoy and play, and our staff. Right. And we have many people on here besides members of 705, 316, 353. We have members on the Zoom here who are in neighboring pre-K centers that play in Stroud. Right. So it's really a community effort. Tonight is about partnership, transparency, and solutions. And thank you again for taking the time to come out this evening to have these critical conversations around not only PS 316, standing with PS 316, but neighboring schools in District 17. So at this time, again, thank you. At this time, I would start, the agenda introducing by having the panelists introduce themselves from Crystal Hudson's office, Council Member Crystal Hudson's office, NYPD, Parks Department, and School Safety. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Principal Weeks, and to everyone that is here gathered. My name is Andre Robinson. I am one of the constituent service directors and community impact directors here in Councilmember Hudson's office. It is a pleasure to be here with you to talk about how we can discuss real-time solutions for the issues that have been happening in the park and with all of these different shootings. So since the incident, I know the council member has directly spoken with the police chief and discussing better safety efforts, one just with the school and with the parks, and also to trying to see how we can get some additional funding and resources to be put so that we can have more patrols and have more, people that are, monitoring the park. As well as I know we are scheduled, Principal Weeks, to come to the building to have a meeting with the PTA and also to discuss with you to kind of have a more hands-on approach, walk around, take a look at some things to be able to speak to how we can get, you guys some more resources. Thirdly, I know that we have been speaking with a few organizations about how we can possibly even see if we can get some type of CMS providers that are there at the school. We know that worked at Clara Barton, a few times with some of the incidents that happened there. Sometimes those individuals are very familiar with some of the kids that, kind of do some of the violence. And so we have seen where that has been very impactful. Again, it's also about making sure that there are resources to do that as well. So that is definitely one of the top things on the council members' priority. And then also just, working with also the victims that were involved with the shooting. So CMS providers are those that do that violence, like they're kind of like violence interrupters, or they do community safety. And so you will see that there's a mayoral office for CMS providers, as well as sometimes that funding goes through different channels. So you have those individuals such as Man Up. You may have Elite Learners, right? So those are all people that work underneath the CMS, and they are able to come in and provide resources, right? So that may be standing on, when school is dismissing, maybe standing on the corner, maybe offering other after school opportunities to be able to engage our youth, different things like that. So that's what CMS providers are. So I'm sorry if I'm answering the question that's in the chat, but I know I said it. So I just wanted to make sure that I was able to provide a little bit more clarity on it. And then just working with the victims, whether that be through channels of therapy or resources as well. Which is, something that will take a more deeper dive when we actually do sit down with you, Principal Weeks, and the PTA to kind of discuss what else is needed. And so those were my updates from the council member. She brings her greetings and does apologize for not being able to be here in person, but, she will be at the school and, do that walkthrough and have a deeper dive and conversation with the community that's there.
Thank you so much. Do we have any members from NYPD? Thank you so much for being here. I know Detective Marte should be here. I see Detective Birchwood. Detective Allen.
So good evening, or good evening, Miss Weeks. I'm Inspector Birchwood, 77 Precinct, and also on the call with me is Detective Wallen and Detective Marte, those community affairs officers. We thank you for obviously organizing this call and inviting us as we're here to provide any updates with any violence that's been going on in the park that any parents, principals, any community members have issues with. We did have this talk in I believe April when we had the same incident. Things were able to dampen down a little. And unfortunately, this incident on November 7th, I believe, happened at 8:53 in the morning. It's a scary situation. Most everyone in the call, a lot of people. I'm a father. I have 3 children, so I know. When you take your kids to school, you expect it to be a safe environment, and these things don't happen. So we, obviously when this happened, I was at home, and I just dropped my own kids off, and I was very upset that I saw that this is happening so early in the morning. I mean, it should never happen. No idiot should be wanting to shoot a gun in New York City or anywhere without some type of training or for some legitimate purpose. But fortunately, we have some crew issues in our precinct. That's either currently a issue or just been an historic issue that these young guys, they come up and they just keep that tradition of the violence with different parts of the neighborhood just going. A lot of this stuff, we talk about later, has been going on before I was even probably on this job. And these kids, some of these kids are even younger than that, 16, 17. They just pick up from where these older guys left off, which is kind of probably what happened to this previous incident. But obviously, we stepped up our patrol coverage over there because, like I said, we had some resources influx come from the police academy, and they've been out there early, which is rare in the police department because our resources are not what they used to be. But we know, obviously, we're going to do a different deployment to ensure that this doesn't happen. And obviously, I've been working with the detective. I just had a conversation with the squad sergeant earlier, about an hour ago, about this particular case. So, we're working to get probable cause so we can make an arrest and get the best case we can to the DA to hold these people accountable. But that's the direction we're going with this right now.
Hi, Superintendent Lindsay. May I ask a question before we go on to the next person for NYPD?
Yeah.
So last year when Clara Barton had the violence, you all had surveillance. I don't know what it's called, but it's the tall thing that's still over there. And I believe it has cameras on it.
We have cameras in the park.
So I don't know what they're called, but they're throughout certain parts of Brooklyn. It's very tall. It's like a tower, and it's mobile.
Can we what? Sorry, I can't really hear.
Boss, I think she's
because we gotta go get one.
watch.
The Skywatch?
I think that's what she's referring to.
Yes, it's probably called a Skywatch because it's really. Is it possible to have one installed in or near the park? Because I noticed when that was installed by Prospect Heights, Clara Barton, that the shootings and violence literally went away immediately, and we haven't heard anything since then.
Okay, yeah. We will have to obviously do a request, and it'll have to work its way down 1PP. I didn't even know we had Skywatch anymore in this department. Wow. I used to man that as a cop, so that was a long time ago. Yeah, but we'll see if they're around. I haven't seen those in years, so.
I can take if you tell me.
I know what the Skywatch is. It rolls up. It has like a little room on top of it, and you could go up and down in it.
I believe that's it. Yes. If you tell me who I need to send the request to, I will gladly email whomever that is.
We'll do the request on it.
Okay.
We'll send it up. We'll send it up.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll see if they have any around. Okay.
I apologize, Ms. Weeks. I'm not sure who's next.
No problem. That was a really great question, Superintendent Lindsay. I see Detective Marte from the 77 precinct. He's the youth officer. Do you have anything you'd like to share this evening with us?
Well, like Inspector Birchwood said, we have deployment for the school. Indeed, if we have uniform, it will deter any sort of crime. And that's what we need. Okay, we need uniform there. We have uniform there. Now we have to keep them there consistently, given the manpower that we have, supporting the manning of all the posts and all the deployment. We can deploy uniform, and that's the best deterrent to crime.
And that would be during morning arrival, lunchtime, dismissal?
From 7:30, right? From 7:30 a.m. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I just have a question, just for clarification. The officers are not only stationed in the vehicles, but they are also on foot?
Yeah, especially in the morning, they're foot posts that's supposed to be in the park. They come in early every morning.
So before we go out for recess, we look outside on Stroud. And we look outside on Stroud playground and we check to see if there's a police station on Park Place. So are we to understand that they are not just posted there and they may be in the surrounding area, like walking around, and they are present?
Their post is exact as Stroud Park. So they have that block basically, but but they may be responding to a 911 call. If you look and don't see them, they might have just respond to a 911 call because they will do that too. But their directive is to be at the park.
Okay. Just having their presence there, it's really comforting for us to see. And I've been told like they are walking in the area. Just having that notification, providing that communication to the school would really support us with ensuring that we can go out for recess during the.
Yeah, they're there every day, 7 days a week,
Okay.
even when there's no school.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Are there any other members from the NYPD that would like to speak at this time? Okay. So thank you so much. We'll now move on to, I see Christina Bassano is on from the New York City Parks Department.
Hi, good evening. I'm Christina Pisano. I'm the regional manager for North Brooklyn Parks, which includes community boards 8 and 9. So that's where Stroud is located for us. My staff is responsible for the cleaning and maintenance of the park. They are not stationed all day at Stroud. They operate out of James Fortin Playground down the block, but they do come back and forth to clean and maintain throughout the day. We also have staff who open and close the bathrooms. So anything related to the actual operation of the park itself, the cleanliness, any signage, anything that falls on that end of things, I am happy to help. Anything we can help add, obviously Parks is concerned about the incidents around here. And so anything that we can do to help support that you guys need, we're here to do that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you. I know last April when we requested additional signs, we were provided and they were placed on Stroud. I would ask that if we could get more that's much larger, that would really support with everyone knowing that the park is in use during school hours.
Sure. Okay. So you mean specifically the exclusive use for the school only?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Not a problem.
And bigger signs. I see, Mr. Daniel.
Sure. Bigger signs. I will make that request.
Thank you. Okay. So school safety, anyone from school safety here? I know parents had some questions about the role that school safety plays on Stroud Playground.
Well, I just want one thing for parks as well. With Parks Enforcement Patrol, Director Mitsotakis, joined by our Inspector Cynthia Thompson. Our Captain Tiffany Phillips, who oversees Brooklyn, is on the call as well. We enforce quality of life concerns and conditions throughout New York City parks, including Stroud Playground, where we've increased our enforcement to daily patrols of the park. For criminal matters like the gun violence, we do rely on our partners in NYPD to assist with that. But we are patrolling Stroud for quality of life concerns and enforcing the park rules and regulations in the park.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. How often are you in the parks? Is it throughout the day? Are there certain times that we would be able to see you present?
It's different times throughout the day, but we've been going daily.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone from school safety? I know we have, I won't put you on the spot, Field Director here. Anyone from school safety that would like to share anything this evening?
Is VSD Edwards still with us?
I'm here.
Hi, how are you, VSD Edwards? Thank you so much for the many ways that you have been responsive to us as we've called on you so many times with the various incidents. And so I just wanted to take a moment to publicly thank you for the many ways that you, and that's everyone that's here, but VSD Edwards is exclusive to our district and a few others in Brooklyn, North and South. But I just wanted you to take a moment so that, you know, you can also highlight the ways that you support us at the school and the district to ensure our students, families, and staff are safe.
I'm sure. Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Craig Edwards, a Borough Safety Director for New York City Public Schools, Office of Safety and Prevention Partnerships. We just continue to train our schools. I know that there were some questions on the chat in regards to what happened at Clara Barton. And what happened was there was a rash of shootings that happened in the area over by Prospect Heights, Clara Barton, and 241 on that same block area. It is in a different precinct. I just want to make that clear that those schools are in the 7-1 precinct. As the superintendent alluded to, there was a joint effort to pretty much make sure that the schools were safe. That was not just in regards to surveillance, but it was also about creating the impact zones, which they had pretty much around Franklin Avenue and also coming around the President, and also covering, there's a little park area actually across the street on Classen Avenue that was being congregated, and also weapons were being hidden in that park as well. So we kind of made sure that there was a joint effort in regards to the schools working collectively together with the 71st precinct. And the 77th precinct has definitely responded expeditiously in monitoring the park. And as we had some conversation today in regards to just ensuring that there's more of a communication in regards to when the officers are there. We have the YCOs, NCOs. I'm sure that the inspector also can utilize the Q team as well, the quality of life team, in regards to also dealing with the precinct and with the community, as well as community affairs. So there's a lot of resources we can leverage, but the number one thing that we need to leverage is to continue to communicate with each other. So that way that there's no divide and conquer in regards to the individuals doing anything that might be at detriment to the school or to the community. The schools continue to have their BRT, the building response team, their team leaders that are going to manifest the necessary umbrella to ensure that everyone is safe. So I thank you for the time. And once again, I'm always here to be able to communicate and to be able to provide whatever resources as a liaison between our New York City Public Schools and our law enforcement partners, school safety and NYPD.
Thank you so much, Craig Edwards, for sharing the information, pertinent information, and for doing all that you do regarding school safety and surrounding school safety. I had a conversation with Craig Edwards this afternoon, and he was able to share pertinent information with me regarding Stroud Playground and next steps with the 77 precinct. So thank you so much. At this time, we will move into question and answers. And thank you, Dr. Coyne and AP Burns, for monitoring the chat, and they will highlight some questions that have been posed this evening from families and parents.
So we have a lot of questions coming in from the chat. One person is asking, we have a couple of people asking for this question. During patrols, can police check the bathrooms? They're saying that sometimes they take their 15-month-old there, and they're frequently older teens who are using that part. That part is not used by the school, but it is directly connected to, and that is where the bathrooms are. So are there any things that are being done to check the bathrooms for potential threats?
Oh yeah, that's not an issue. So we'll put the directive out to the cops on the foot post, especially our newer cops, that to periodically check the bathrooms while they're on post, especially probably when they get the posts. I'm sure after they get the posts, no one's gonna go in. Hopefully, no kid is gonna go in there and do any nonsense like smoke weed in the bathroom. But yeah, that's easy. We could check that. I'm sure if the Parks Department is online too, if they when they do their patrol, they can also, you know, enforce whatever see whatever they see in the bathroom, help out with that also.
Yep, we'll put that out to our teams as well on the Parks Department end.
Okay, another question. James Fortin Playground, as being mentioned, that it has a fence enclosing it. Is there a possibility of enclosing the western playground portion of the park, which is fairly exposed?
Sure. So fencing that's similar to what's at James Fortin would require a capital project or capital funding for the Parks Department. There previously was years ago fencing around the portion of the playground that was used by the school. But in the most recent capital project for it, it was under what was called Parks Without Borders. And so they took down what used to be our mesh fencing from that area. And that's the design that you see now, although understanding there are a lot of concerns, and we hear this a lot from playgrounds where we have done this capital update. So not necessarily something we could fix tomorrow, but as long as the school, the community, the council member is on board with this and, sort of advocates for parks to change this, that's, I think, the easiest and most efficient way to go about it.
Another question being asked is regarding camera coverage, that there are gaps in where cameras are able to pick up different incidents. Could we get some information on how much camera coverage there is right now that's reliable, how active the cameras are, and if there are any efforts in place to either upgrade or improve the camera system to capture the full area of Stroud Playground?
Yeah, so we have what we call Argus camera. If you look up on Park Place between Franklin and Classen on one of the pole, like kind of right in front of the entrance, it's called Argus cameras. 2 cameras that face both east and westbound on Park, and I could pull it up actually before hopefully it's working on my computer, but I can look at the angles to make sure. I'm pretty sure it captures the park, but if it doesn't, we can always make a request to have it the actual lock position change, because you can move the cameras, but once you move it and you don't use it for a certain period of time, they go back to a set lock position. But that's a request that we have to put into our IT department to change the lock camera position in there, and so I could check that. But again, that's a request that we could just put in very simple. But also, I know the school also has very good cameras too. So, all that was utilized during this investigation for the last shooting.
A lot of parents are also asking how they can support in forms of advocacy. Caitlin in the chat says, how can parents help MOP make sure you have the resources to dedicate patrol officers? Who should we call to ensure you have sustained ongoing personnel and funding? So that advocacy piece from our community, how can they make their voices heard?
When you talk to a good way to maybe talk to when you talk to your local elected officials, you could explain, tell them about the violence. The city's hurting overall with resource count, but if when you speak to your local elected official like Crystal Hudson, she can bring that up to people above my head that can ensure that we are continuously getting a good amount of cops every time we get an academy class. Or if any transfers happen, we don't lose too many cops, because that happens too, because sometimes they got to distribute cops across the city. And we may lose a fair share sometimes, and then we got to, plug here to fill these gaps in other areas of the precinct that we have to cover. It's a pretty big precinct too, and a lot's going on from east to west, north to south. So that's a good way, like just, keep the pressure on your elected official who can reach out to people above me, who have a better relationship with them to ensure that we get resources. What is the Argus camera?
Also, we did a Google Forms survey in advance of the town hall, and some parents submitted questions through that. One that came up in multiple responses was, is there possible to have a presence for the school with police during arrival and dismissal, starting at 7:30 a.m. and then at dismissal at the end of the day, or what barriers may exist for that?
So the cops that are out there, they start at 7, so they usually on post by 7:30. Uh, the department policy really isn't to put cops in front of schools. That's why we have school safety agents. We're really supposed to be kind of on the outskirts. So that's why I put them on the that's why I keep them in the park. But we don't actually put cops in front of schools for anything like that. That's school safety's job.
Zane is asking in the chat, some of these could be temporary fixes, adding cameras, police controls, but with understaffing it creates challenges. What programs do we need to advocate for, and do we need to contact to help attack some of the root causes of what's going on in terms of community organizations and other organizations trying to reduce youth access to guns and things like that?
It's a first camera. Sorry. I thought it was muted. So this was brought up in the our last community council meeting last week. Someone brought up the cure violence programs, and I think someone on this call, the representative of Councilwoman Hudson's office brought it up too. Those will definitely help. Because we the police, we can't really do it. We can't do it all. So they're given like certain areas that they work in, and this particular area, the Stroud, is not covered by any of these what we call crisis management groups. So that's something that the city deals with, the DYCD, and the local elected officials fund them, that they can change their catchment areas, they're called. But I've already spoken because our vice president on our clergy call is one of the liaisons to SOS, who covers the command. But SOS's area is more east of Stroud Park, kind of the Albany Houses, St. Mark's Playground area, who, funny enough, are the rivals of this local Stroud Park area Lincoln Fam crew that historical in the command. So I already spoke to them about talking to the kids over there, just in case there's no back and forth and continuouses. But this issue was brought up last year on Labor Day when we had the shooting on Labor Day, and the shooting 3 days after Labor Day, about moving some 711 crisis management people a little further north across Eastern Parkway to just hit the blocks over there. And it's I guess it's still in the works, but it's all about giving these people the resources, because they don't have they just like us, they probably have the money and the funding and the manpower in order to expand so much. So that's why they give us more areas, but that's come through the city. That's not.
A suggestion from the chat that's being elevated is asking about the SV unit across the street. The deck test is parking on the sidewalk. Could that be changed so that they park in front of the park, where it's a bit more visible to people who are arriving and may be more of a functional deterrent?
Move their part. They're kind of different units, so that would have to go through their commander. But in order to change parking, I guess to go through the city to change the signs, and then I know the people in the community that live over there may not want that, because that's going to take park away from them too. So, but like I said, that's something they would have to do a request for over there, to change the signage to allow for police parking over there.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. They're asking if the park camera data could be viewed by school safety in the school. Are they able to have access to all of those cameras to monitor throughout the day?
Greg Edwards wants to answer that question.
Yeah, good evening. That wouldn't be possible. The cameras that are in the building are connected to the school. The park is not connected to the school in regards to its surveillance. So that's not part of our IPDVS system. So that wouldn't be possible.
I just want to add Hatton in the chat did elevate the Center for Justice Innovation and SOS as potential programs to be considered. And this is being asked from some of us in the chat. Is the western area in front of the bathrooms where the shooting occurred under the school's purview? We don't utilize that part of the park usually. And Ms. Weeks, I think at this time, we've answered most of the questions. If anybody wants to repost anything that was missed, we'll elevate it.
I hope it's okay I'm speaking. I know I'm not a speaker, but I've been putting some things in the chat, so I think it might be helpful if I just say so. Thanks for the thumbs up. I am curious, a lot of the things that we're putting in the chat, it feels like it's being a little bit like that's someone else's problem, that's not ours, or that's someone else's process. I think it would be really helpful for the community to know what the steps would be. For example, I think what I suggested in terms of the detectives parking, I understand that's a different sector or segment, and that would be a city request. But what might we need to do? What are the steps we need to take as a community to submit that request to the city? And I think that is a potential one idea, but we're not, I don't really feel like we're getting answers on like what actually needs to be done or how we need to go about submitting those requests if we do want to do that as a community.
Well, if it's not, the detectives will have to request to want to park over there also, and obviously it's a request that the city will be like, who puts the signs up? I think DOT will have to approve that request to move, because where we park is signage, saying police vehicles only. They will have to approve that signage to move the signs around the corner.
Yeah, I know, I understand, but I mean, how do you actually submit that request to see if it's something not just that the detectives would do, but that the city would approve as a?
You could go through, I guess, Department of Transportation, because they deal with the signage.
Yeah, I can also add to that. You would go to the DOT site. So sometimes what communities do is sometimes they do like get a petition going. They submit that to DOT. On the DOT site, you can submit it to the Brooklyn Borough Director, which is Keith Bray. And so on that site, there are, in terms of like what you're looking for in terms of your action, you can look, it'll tell you exactly how you submit it. When you do that, you can, put your email address, or if it's, like, let's say you started a bigger group, you can put your email address on it. And then what will happen is that as they go through the process, as DOT goes through the process, because everything goes through like a study or some type of rubric to determine whether or not it's feasible to do or whether it's not feasible to do. And then they can give you more feedback on why it's not feasible or why it is feasible to do it. And they also, when you do put that request in through DOT directly as opposed to 311, they'll also update you to let you know that they received the request. And then number two, they'll update you to let you know what the result of the request was. So that's how you do that. I noted it down for the council member as well, so that can be a part of her conversation with DOT as well, with the commissioners. So that's the ways in which you do it. But you proactively as a community member, that's how it's done.
We've had some members just advocating that they would prefer funding to go to additional staff from the parks rather than a fence, people over barriers. So we want to make sure that was heard. Also, a parent is asking, I believe, who's maybe co-president of 705, maybe the PTA. They use the children's playground on Park. And what should a parent do if they arrive there and they see things like bags of weed, items to crush drugs, liquor bottles? She's seen some of these things using this park. What should she do in those scenarios? What action steps should a parent take when they see something like that?
So if you do see something, it's not an emergency. So my suggestion would probably be make a 311 complaint, so it's documented where you observe that. If you do see like someone using any type of narcotics in a park, call 911. That's an emergency. But for non-emergency, just make a 311 complaint. Just know that, yeah, because like even though marijuana is legal, you can't use it in the playground, and obviously any other harder core drugs can't be used. Period. So, again, if you see it in public, it's going on, make a 911 call. Hopefully, if you do it in the morning, you should see the foot post there. Let them know. But if it's just baggies and things left around, just make a 311 complaint.
Hey, Inspector, I'd like to add for the parents that do encounter anyone doing any sort of narcotics, to please don't engage these individuals as if it might turn into an altercation. Do call 911. Leave that up to us. When we show up, we'll interview you if you're still around, or the parents that call, if they're still around, we'll interview them, get a description of the suspects, and then take action from there. But like in the past, I have seen where teachers and even parents want to take action because they feel like, they have the courage and they feel like they have to say something. So my suggestion is, if it's not turning well, if your approach, if your what you're telling them is not turning well, leave that up to us, to the uniform, and just give us a description over 911, and we'll take it from there.
Ms. Weeks, just in terms of time, how much more time would you like allotted to questions? So we have a person who's elevated this question twice. We'd like to know, just since there was a shooting in April when we had a town hall, what actions have been taken since then? Maybe a recap of the things that were put into place since that event, and then what could be added now, which is a lot of what we've discussed today.
Yeah, so since we took the shooting in April, that happened around 1:30 in the afternoon. So the precinct and most commands have what's called school dismissal posts. I made Stroud Playground a school dismissal post, which was from 1:30 to 05 to 7 to 5 p.m. for school, just in other parts of the command too, but that was one of them. So that was going on from that's dismissal. And then we reinstituted it this year. So they've been doing that since beginning of September. And then obviously, the shooting happened bright and early in the morning, unfortunately. So we got an influx of new cops from the police academy that all working early. So we got a good set amount of them. So one of the first in the post number one is Stroud Park. So that's why they're there every day, 7 days a week, even when there's no school. So you have the cops there, dismissal, those early cops leave, and you have cops there until at least 5 o'clock for just for arrival, and 5 o'clock for dismissal.
This is a interesting question regarding data. They want to know about fencing from the Parks Department. Are there statistics supporting that the fencing would hinder crime statistically, or does it potentially cause more problems? And how does it impact access? So is considering potential solutions so that it remains accessible to the community, but also is safer.
I can't answer that off of the top of my head, but that's something I can absolutely look to see if we have any information on, sort of what the safety of Stroud was like prior to taking down the fence that was in the recess area, and what it's been like since then, and try and get that back to you guys if somebody has it.
A question about just how many officers and what times of the day are being patrolled, because we did have a parent say that while they do take the child to the park who attends the school after school, during the day they found other parks to use just to make sure they were safe, because they weren't seeing enough of a visible safety presence during the day when the school's not using the park. So you could just give some insight into what those covered.
We have 2 cops that's in the park every day.
question for Christina at NYC Parks is if there's a number they can call for urgent park maintenance. There's a lot of advocacy for using 311 as a resource as well, but is there anything, Ms. Pisano, that they can call directly to Park Department for maintenance needed?
Sure, I'm happy to provide my contact information. So it can send an email if there are things that need to be addressed immediately. It's my staff who does work down the block at James Fortin. So anything that's urgent, you can send to me an email and I'm happy to have them respond. I also just want to make sure it's clear the reason that staff is at James Fortin is because there's not space for staff at Stroud. So unfortunately, there's not, a place in the building for staff to be all day long. So that is why they go back and forth, but they are there. So any concerns with the maintenance, that can come directly to me.
Do one more question, and then we have to move into next steps and closing remarks. I want to leave time for that. But this is a question, actually, this is really for us. Why is this, the students haven't been having outdoor recess as regularly as they did in previous years? Absolutely. The situation has impacted recess at multiple times this spring and fall, but we are doing our best to provide outdoor recess every day as often as possible within the space limitations provided by the front yard when Stroud Playground cannot be used because there's not a presence out there. So some of our larger grades, we have to split using the front yard and the auditorium for everybody to accommodate it safely if we can't use Stroud, and we mirror and flip the next day the classes that go in and stay out. Only with Stroud can we fully accommodate outdoor recess for an entire grade in the middle grades.
Thank you so much, Dr. Coyne, for facilitating the question and answer portion of the town hall meeting. I would like to also add regarding outdoor play, since the November 7th incident, we have been looking for police detail out on Park Place so that we could take our youngsters out. For the most part, they have been there as stated by NYPD. And as I learned today, they're not just always stationed in the vehicle, but they are patrolling the area. So now that we know they are there, I see Detective Marte is coming in. Now that we know they are there and they are patrolling, in addition to being stationed, we will be going out on Stroud. We do have an assistant school safety agent that's here. So we will have our safety agent by the door when we are outside on Stroud during recess. So we will continue to be vigilant, and my ask is for greater communication from NYPD to let us know if they are indeed in the area so that we are able to confidently take our students out. And it's much appreciated that we do see police officers walking and being in their vehicles. So at this time, I would like to thank everyone who joined us this evening for spending time with us, your presence, whether you are families, your staff, community partners, or agency members and representatives. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for being committed to the safety and well-being of our children at PS 316 and neighboring school communities. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to Superintendent Lindsay, our partners from the NYPD, the Parks Department, City Council Member Crystal Hudson's representative in office, Rick King from the UFT. I see you, Mr. King. BSD, Craig Edwards and everyone, all of the parents and families, principals who are here on the call for joining us. This proves that everybody is committed and responsive and solution-oriented to the situation that we have been facing on Stroud Playground. Tonight's conversation shows the strength of this community, and we have been able to really share our concerns and be advocates for our youngsters, our scholars who we want to keep safe, and our community and our staff. So again, thank you so much. The information that we have received this evening, we know we will continue to look towards next steps, as well as continue to advocate for change, continue to share your thoughts and your ideas with the school, with the community, with everybody who's on this call. Your feedback and partnership matters profoundly. So again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for entrusting us with your students and for standing with us. And everybody who's on the call, once again, thank you and have a wonderful evening. We look forward to continued conversation around this topic, and we hope that we don't have many incidents or any more incidents on Stroud, and we will continue to have our community and our students safe. Thank you and have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Department, press 3. To speak to the operator,
Thank you, everybody.